Testing, testing. Hello.
Perfect, thank you. You can just sit down right there, John.
And so what
Turn
do,
it on up here.
and how do I turn this one on?
This one turns on.
Okay.
For those of you watching online, welcome to our service. We'll get started shortly. Including my mother-in-law.
Nice and official.
So this is live, and this mic is live right now. I'm going to put this down here so it'll be out of your way.
Well, that's the weirdest little piece. Well, let's just see if I can get this.
Oh, it's
Is Val Hazen here?
It's supposed to help snug it up, maybe? This little piece right here. That's fine.
Yes, that just helps it to us so that we shouldn't have to adjust anything.
I think it is also live.
It is.
No kidding. No, it's not good. So, is it still live? It is.
well, yeah, you can turn it off here.
Well, and so, who is the person up there doing sound?
I am, and I'm here. If you want to turn it off here, I can.
There we go, it's muted now. All right, let's try it again over here. Let's start again. Sorry about that. She just rested on her knee. This supposed to happen. I'm so sorry for being so personal and intimate.
Oh, you are not. You're fixing a problem.
It's not sitting right. I do have a piece of tape that you can write.
There may be another instant that I can go look and
There you
see.
go. I just see everyone on my earbud. It should be just
What
fine.
little earlobe I have.
Yeah.
That's it.
Let me go look and see if I can find
You want to
it.
put the phone against the pressure?
I preached last week just that. I don't stray far from mine.
No, if you're going to be here, that's all we need.
That little fuzzy mic is for that live stream, that finished plastic working right now. So just don't move the microphone. Don't physically filter it. Okay.
Well, but
And we can figure this out later.
yeah, it's not in my side.
Okay. That was the other question I was going to ask before you got it. Got it. That's going to be on because that's our YouTube feed. And we should be good to go.
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Good morning. Good to see
Good
you.
to see you too.
Doing well.
How's it going? You look sharp.
You too.
Skylar. Nice
Skylar?
How you doing? I had a miscommunication with Gretchen, and she's gonna have him do the call to worship with her, but I can't find her, so yep,
She
see her
was.
wandering about.
She was. Last time I saw her, I thought she was working on ice cream stuff. But
Okay,
maybe
okay,
not.
no worries. I'll just hang on to this guy and then.
Yeah, you should. Or he can come up here and hang out with me. You want to just hang out with me for a while? Okay,
Yeah,
come
is that
on
all right?
up. We're good.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it.
Tyler, come sit over here.
So whenever you get up to do the piece with your mom, just take your
We want to be able to see your smiling face. How are you?
Yeah, put up your different. So this doesn't look like it's getting any feedback. I've checked in with the people who are online to see if they're trying anything.
This mic works then.
Yeah, but don't move this.
I wouldn't think of it.
But it's on right now.
Okay,
In the house.
thank you.
So, thank you.
Does this belong to somebody?
Yes, that's Val's. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay.
It was on the floor.
There you go.
Come on over here.
Hey, Sam.
Have you talked with your mom about which parts you're going to read and which parts she's going to read? Let's just fold it open to the page you're going to be on and take that insert out because you won't need it at all.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
Okay, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go. Here's. Okay. Do you have a highlighter with you?
No, but I can help you. Skylar's not really a reader anyway, so we'll just. Skylar, are you gonna do this with me? We're gonna take our hat off. You know, come here. I want to see if you can even get up here.
That's what I was wondering. So this mic. How you doing, buddy?
So they can't see you over that. So which ones of these is he going to read? And I'll circle those for him.
He's just gonna do how then shall we answer and how then shall we. But we're not going yet, okay?
May the peace of Christ be with you. Thank you. You did that well. We'll get you to respond with oomph one of these days. And I want to thank Vicki this morning. If you are aware, the song that she was just playing includes the line, "Neighbors are near and far away." So for those of you neighbors, for those of you who visit with us on this day, we want you to know that you are welcome here in this place today and always. We hope those of you who are with us will take the time to sign one of the blue cards that's located in the pew so we can have a record of your worshiping with us, because that allows us to be able to reach out to you in the midweek and have a chance to get to know better who you are and to welcome you more personally to this community of faith. We have a really wonderful set of announcements this morning, starting with ice cream. So it's not quite 80 degrees yet when we get out of worship today, but it's still a fine day to be eating ice cream. So if you will stay with us for our ice cream fellowship, you're welcome to eat as much of it as you like before you go home and eat lunch. You know, eat dessert first. It's been a long time theory of many. We are also making this our youth are sponsoring this as a fundraiser for one of their service project trips. If you have the money to donate today, please do so. If you don't, there's online options anytime. Mark will be telling you more about this as we come to that time. But I just want to say that's something that's important in the life of our church family, and we want it to be a part of your life as well. So we have a new members class that will happen immediately following worship at 11 o'clock this morning. If you are visiting with us today and would like to go to that just to find out more about that class, you are welcome to do so. And if you'll check with me after worship, we'll talk about where that class is meeting. We need volunteers for our sound system, and would appreciate your help with that. We would ask you to serve on a monthly basis, just one Sunday a month. It's not a real hard learning curve, but it would take just a little bit of training, and you too could be equipped to help us with our sound system here at the church. We have a documentary happening this afternoon, Virginia's Calling. It's a program about climate change. If this is one of the things that weighs heavy on your heart, we would invite you to come and be a part of this documentary. It will give us a chance to talk afterwards about what some of the things are that are happening locally that you can be a part of in the life of this. We are grateful you are with us in this day and at this time. This is a unique moment in time. Never again will this exact crowd be assembled, and we are grateful that on this day you have given your time to the opportunity to worship God with this community of faith. We invite you now to open your hearts, open your minds, open your spirits to the love of God evident in this place.
Good morning. Please stand. Please stand and join Skylar and I in the call to worship. Are you ready? Okay. The world cries to us in its distress. How shall we answer?
We cannot pass by as though nothing is wrong.
How then shall we answer?
We cannot become so focused on ourselves that others mean nothing to us.
How then shall we answer?
We shall be the neighbor in service, the ally in reconciliation, and the lover offering compassion wherever we can.
God has shown us the way of faith. Come, let us worship our God.
Come, let us live out our faithfulness to God through our faithfulness to others. Come, let us
Good morning. So I'm Valerie Hazen, and I have been asked to lead you in prayer this morning, and I have chosen a song from Dances of Universal Peace, which is my love. And Dances of Universal Peace is a movement prayer, a whole body prayer in which you're using your hands, your body, your voice, and you're singing sacred phrases. They could derive from Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, Judaism, Buddhism. We'll be singing in English, and it does derive from a Christian song. Dances are usually done in groups of anywhere as small as 10 to 200. And the reason I love dances so much and why I'm introducing this to you is because when I do whole body prayer, I feel not only the connectedness with everyone that's in that circle, I feel that oneness, but I also feel so much closer to God. So I experience really true joy. So I want to share this with you. So Pastor Jessica and Martha will be leading you. We will start off teaching you the song, and then we will be singing it in a round. So Martha and I and Pastor Jessica will be leading you in each of the rows. Okay? Are you ready? Okay, so here's the song. Oh, sorry. We're going to do gestures too. So the gesture is going to start out in prayer position. Okay? And then when we'll be doing this, we'll be having you stand. All right? Okay, so it's going to start off like this. Spirit, I love you. Oh, how I adore you. Lay my life before you. Does everybody join us? So we have this finished? Sure. Would you stand, please? Okay, here we go. Spirit, I love you. Oh, how I adore you. Lay my life before you. Let's do it one more time before we do it in a round. Here we go. One more time. Spirit, I love you. Oh, how I adore you. Lay my life before you. All right. Good. So here we go. Pastor Jessica, ready? Spirit, I love you. Oh, I adore you. Lay my life before you. Spirit, I love you. Oh, lay my life before you.
And behold, a lawyer stood up to put him to the test, saying, Rabbi, what shall I do to inherit eternal life? And Jesus said to him, what is written in the law? How do you read? And the lawyer answered, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. And Jesus said to him, you have answered rightly. Do this, and you will live. But the lawyer, desiring to justify himself, said to Jesus, but who is my neighbor? And Jesus replied, a man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and he fell among robbers. And they stripped him, and they robbed him, and they beat him, and they departed, leaving him half dead by the side of the road. Now by chance, a priest was going down that road, and when he saw him, he looked away and passed by on the other side. So likewise, a Levite, when he came and saw him, he averted his face and walked down on the other side of the road. But a Samaritan, as he journeyed, he saw him, and he had pity on him, and he went to him, and he bound up his wounds. He poured on oil and wine, and then he set him on his own beast and brought him to an inn, and he took care of him. And the next day he went to the innkeeper, and he gave him some money, saying, take care of him, and whatever more you spend, I will repay you when I come back.
How is it you see or experience the world? One assertion is that we look on the world through eyes of fear or eyes of love. Where we stand as we do our looking always changes our orientation. When you are stranded down in a ditch, chances are high you will be frightened. Regrettably, those who are riding high also often look at the world with eyes of fear, believing they are surrounded by folk who mean to do them harm because they want to take their stuff. A fearful gaze is often triggered by our vulnerabilities. In order to respond freely in the moment, any moment, we have to know we have nothing to lose. And few of us are that free of our attachments. Our families need us. We are valued in our workplace by our clients who would staff our Pride booth, make sandwiches for the homeless, collect winter coats, pay attention to the people of Tasahera. If we weren't here to keep that moving forward, we all have attachments. Now, our fearful gaze can also be brought on by other kinds of vulnerability. In a sermon on this passage, Jonathan Currier, who was then the rector of an Episcopal church in Pennsylvania, told of his fear when on a subway when he was a student at Union Seminary in New York. 3 huge teenagers boarded the train he was on, huge to him, and after a minor provocation from a homeless drunk, they gave him a swift kick in the head, which sent the man sprawling. Neither Currier nor any of the other passengers rebuked those kids or reached out to help the child of God who hit the floor. Currier says he was terrified of the gun they might have hidden beneath a coat, and the heartlessness already on display. Breathing in love and breathing out fear is a hard mantra to make real at a time like that. Most of us are rather attached to our own safety and lives. Remembering our personal bias towards self-preservation is the starting place of learning from this parable told so well by Jesus in response to the question, "Who is my neighbor?" Because of the world's violent horror stories and our fear-filled eyes, few of us stop to help someone pulled over on the interstate. Few of us interrupt the bullies in the school hallway or the office meeting. And we look the other way when a person in front of us has to put back a block of cheese because she didn't do the mental math well enough and her funds are fewer than her needs. We have all walked by as priest or Levite at some point in our lives. Bringing this closer to home, let's change the titles to Red Cross volunteer, school principal walking by, and it's the welfare mom who puts down her baby to help. Or it's the city mayor and the country pastor who pass by while the drag queen shows mercy by bending over to pick up the wounded soul. By making the disdained Samaritan the hero, Jesus is reminding the lawyer and all those devout listeners that God has no enemies or stepchildren, and our neighborhood is without boundaries. Now, it's a 45-minute drive south from the home I grew up in to the Mexican border, and about an hour and a half southwest to Yuma, Arizona. When I visit home, America's extending border fence is easily visible, running parallel to the freeway in many places. It's a fence the priests and Levites of Congress have been building since 2006 to keep out the people who once exclusively filled those sunny, arid acres. When I was growing up, my high school was about 50% Mexican American and 50% Anglo American. The white population is now a shrinking 20%, but of course, they are the farmers and the lawyers and the bank executives who control the wealth, and more importantly for that area, the water rights from the Colorado River. Many of these lawyers and farmers love Jesus with all their heart and soul and strength and mind, and believe, like the lawyer of our text, that God has blessed them for that devotion, even when their lives are devoid of mercy. We can't build a fence, a border or boundary that God recognizes as an excuse to quit caring about the welfare of others. The wounded, good, bad, and indifferent, live in all our communities, in all our nation states. Samaritans are nearby here in Eugene as well. They are the ones in whom we can find no redeeming value. They are the ones whose existence is marginal, and really, if we allowed ourselves to think and say it, society might be better off without. Now, for some, might that include today's skinheads, neo-Nazis? Samaritans were the Jews of Hitler's Germany. They were the Japanese Americans we locked in camps throughout World War II. For many, they are today's dark-skinned immigrants we desperately try to hold back, while we allow entrance to those persons of a paler persuasion from Ukraine. Jesus says, it is these despised and feared others who shatter our expectations of who will do the right thing at the right time. How do they have the strength and the courage to do that? Because those despised by us have been down in that ditch, and they know what it is to receive help and find mercy. Now, Arizona has made giving water to an illegal immigrant a crime. But no one who has walked for hours in the desert sun is ever going to refuse water to another living soul when they have it to share. When have we been in the ditch? Homeless, in need of shelter, jobless, in need of employment, friendless, in need of companionship, despairing, in need of comfort and support. When we have been freed from that being our reality, we will do all we can to turn around and help another we identify in the situation we just came from. Our own neediness, when met with kindness, turns our eyes from eyes of fear to eyes of love. Amy Oden, a professor and writer, has focused on the spiritual callings of hospitality. She notes welcoming the stranger puts oneself and one's community at risk. At best, the stranger is disruptive, bringing strange ideas and new, even wrong ways of doing things. At worst, the stranger is dangerous, bringing disease, dishonor, or violence. Welcoming the stranger is risky business. Everyone will be changed, host and guest alike. And we cannot know ahead of time what those changes will be. Years ago, a young woman named Ashley Smith, we heard about this in North Carolina because she was living in Atlanta when Brian Nichols, who was on trial for rape, escaped from the Fulton County Courthouse, killing the judge and 3 others as he fled. He panicked from one location to the next, finally coming upon Ashley Smith as she was entering her apartment. He pushed her into her home, promising that nothing bad would happen to her if she cooperated with him. She wasn't exactly a willing Good Samaritan. Ashley was, in fact, a crystal meth addict who had lost custody of her daughter because of her drug use. When Nichols demanded marijuana, she offered him instead a dose of crystal meth. But she made the crucial decision of her life at that moment as she declined to take any with him. She identified that as the moment her eyes were open. She had been opened to God's love, and the thought of dying at this man's hands and never again seeing her daughter helped elbow to the forefront Ashley's resolve to stop taking drugs. She identifies that moment as the day she ceased to be an addict. He held her captive in her home for 7 hours. I think her TV must have been broken because in that time she started talking to him first about God's love and how she had been learning about it. Then she picked up Rick Warren's book, Purpose Driven Life, and began reading it to him. In those actions, she made a neighbor of him. Now, can we imagine being saved by an addict? Nichols went back to prison, But he didn't add one more murder to his list, in part because he was met with generosity and not simply fear. At First Congregational, we pride ourselves on being welcoming to all. But I am sure there have been some one-time only visitors who somehow didn't feel the love when they walked through our doors and never returned. Stand aside from the crowd gathering outdoors sometime following worship. See if you notice a person lingering but not yet engaged. Might be a member who still hasn't found true community. You be the one to speak. There's also the person who longs for God, and community has felt so cursed, and for God and community, yet has felt so cursed by the church that they just assume a lack of welcome and have never even ventured onto this property. I was stricken with pain at that reality several years ago. A woman called the church I was serving and asked to speak with the pastor. We talked for quite a while, and then we agreed to meet. The caller was a transgender woman asking for permission to come to our church in Charlotte. Was it safe for her to come? Would she receive a welcome? With gratitude for Holy Covenant's hospitality, I'm grateful to say she not only came, but eventually joined and shared her witness with us as well. Now, which of you in this room has ever once thought about calling the pastor of a church and asking if it would be okay for you to come? That's our privilege talking. When Pamela, as a member, addressed the Holy Covenant congregation in 2009, she said, "Each life is a period of transition. It is said we sacrifice 3/4 of ourselves in order to conform to what others think we should be." She went on, 10 years ago, I came to the realization I was living at 25% capacity. And so I made the decision to begin my transition into the person I knew I was intended to be. I speak often of integrity and being true to oneself. I realized it was hypocritical for me to preach the value of being genuine to others without claiming that right for myself. After sharing more of her story and her activities, Pamela concluded by saying, "Transition never ends.